Hi everyone and welcome along. I'm still here in my raincoat because the weather is turning, and the other thing that tells us the seasons are changing is everyone going back to school. Now, regardless of how you feel about it, a lot of us get very excited about the stationery, don't we? The pencils, the pens, the notebooks, all those new bits and pieces. So let's do a little celebration of the best thing about going back to school. Grab your paints and let's get started. So to do this piece I need a few stationery supplies of my own. Pencil, little compass and a straight edge. I've got a set square there. So what do you take to school, or what did you take to school? I definitely had a protractor, that semicircle thing. So I'm going to draw everything in a nice kind of grid system and just try and sort of be quite precise at this point so that I can have a bit more fun with it later. So for all my pens and pencils, now I used to use marker pens like the Stabilo highlighters, so you can have some fun with what you used to remember using. That's what the pen looked like. And then I've got to have a think about all the things I used to use. Gosh, it's quite funny now to think back. I did really enjoy pens and pencils though. I think we'll have a pen, maybe more of like a marker pen, a Sharpie type thing. So just use your ruler to sort of get your main lines in, and then you can just soften it out a bit. And then the good news is you can always come up with things like pencil sharpeners or paper clips or drawing pins, things like that to fill in the gaps. Now, one word of warning is don't create too ginormous a space to create this, because you will be here forever if you do a really large piece. So just keep it nice and compact. I'm going to focus on doing a sort of, I've got an A5 piece of paper, but I'm going like within the boundaries of it. So yeah, I'm just going to have a bit of fun reminiscing and drawing in some shapes, and then we can get painting. So once you've got your setup done, I'll just rip out that little line there. So I've got mark pens, pencils, bulldog clips, ruler, pencil sharpener, paper clips, little box of staples and a few extra staples and an eraser there. Now, what will be really fun with this is to create a limited colour palette and make it all a bit stylized, because I think that can be really fun. So the way I choose a colour palette very often is I look for complementary colours on the opposite side of the colour wheel, and I think it'll be really fun to do a slightly sort of vintage inspired blue across the spectrum to like warm brown earthy orange. And what we're going to do is we're going to start by just painting in washes, nice dilute washes of the base colours, and then we can up the intensity of our concentrations and start to add all sorts of details and things. But yeah, for the beginning, I'm just going to really enjoy painting in nice dilute washes of my colour palette. So I've got cobalt blue deep, and then the other blue I've just woken up in my palette is French ultramarine blue. And then I've also got cadmium orange and yellow ochre over there. But yeah, I think this will just be a really fun way of creating a little homage to all our favourite stationery supplies. I think this would look super cool on a journal page, maybe a card. We love card making here, don't we? So yeah, enjoy painting in the dilute washes, and then once they're dry we can let them well, we can add lots of nice detail. And don't forget to think about places where you might have a blue tone and an orange tone as a wash on the same item. It doesn't all just have to be one or the other. So I'm looking at this and I think I'm going to do one half of the eraser blue, one half orange, the pencil sharpener there. Yeah, lots of opportunities for it. So this looks really fun. There's a very subtle difference in some of the tones, and what we're going to do now is, before we get in with the real detail, we're going to do another layer of glazes, so just an extra colour, still quite dilute, on top, just to give things a little bit more interest. So this is the opportunity to branch out a tiny bit from the initial colour palette. So I've got cadmium orange here, which is a lovely orange, but it is quite earthy. But here is pyrrole orange, which is much more red. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mix those two together to get a slightly more sort of tangerine orange, cadmium orange. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to first check that that's dry, and then I'm going to carefully paint a glaze. And so we now know, well, if you follow on with my tutorials week in, week out, we've been looking at glazes a lot, and that is a translucent layer over the top of an already painted section of watercolour, which helps sort of transform the colour by essentially using the transparency of the top layer and the colour underneath to sort of create a whole new lovely colour on the page. And I rather like that. And I think I like the idea of this for the ruler in particular, because the rulers I had at school were clear plastic, coloured clear plastic. So I feel like I'm creating a lovely clear plastic ruler here. And I'm painting these sides in because these were the sort of those slightly slanted sides of the ruler, so they were going to catch the light very differently with that slight angle. But you could use the glaze in a more sort of, I don't know, in a sort of softer way. For example, if we've got my blues here, if I take a bit of Payne's grey and just mix it, I've got a blue and an orange water going on as well, mix it into my blue tones, I can just get a slightly deeper blue, which will be good for a glaze as well. So a deeper blue, but it's still diluted, and I can use it here to get that just slanted edge off the rubber or eraser. So that's a bit like the ruler. But I also thought it would be good for sort of curved sides like this pen here. So the next stage is basically to find places where you might want to just add a little bit extra colour. Doesn't have to be everywhere. I think I'd quite like to put some, let's see if I can do a little stripe down the middle of my pencil to make it look like one of those sort of octagonal or hexagonal angled pencils. That looks really cool. So yeah, a little bit more of that, and then we'll let it dry and go into some detail. So I had a little look online and reminded myself of all of my favourite brands of some of these throwbacks. So I've drawn in a little bit of extra detail here and there, and now it's time to have a bit of fun and start to draw in the bits of detail with a smaller brush. So I've got a 2/10 brush here, and the key thing is to make sure that your colour is nice and concentrated to be able to start to put in little bits of detail. Now, what I really don't want is for anyone to lose sleep over things like the numbers of markings you're putting on your ruler. And I mean, gosh, if you want to, if you've got lots of time, why not? But the whole charm of these kinds of illustrations is that they are a little bit wobbly, a little bit hand done, and there's a charm to them with that. So please don't get stressed about making your rulers all completely exact. You'll notice my protractor is not remotely accurate, but it doesn't matter because we're illustrators and we are conveying a feeling rather than an accurate technical drawing. That's a whole other skill and not one that I'd recommend to learn from me. So yeah, just enjoy layering up colours. Now we're using nice and concentrated colours for this. And yeah, just have some fun. And you could sort of, if you want, you could outline things. I remember there's that little sort of ridged finger grip bit on a pencil sharpener. So you do really want now to be using a small brush. If you don't have any detail brushes, then you can get the exact brushes that I'm using here in my Etsy shop and website shop. And the coolest thing is we've got our very own branding on these. I work in partnership with ProArt because I just love their brushes so much. I think they are the best. And so I put together 2 sets of the pointed rounds. One is 7 brushes, it's all these ones here. That's the ultimate set that I think you'll be best off having if you want to paint my tutorials, but we've also got a set of just 3 of the little detailed ones because sometimes you just want to focus in on that. So enjoy, but for now, let's get painting. So I'm just coming to the end of adding in some last sort of concentrated bits of detail. And I'm so happy with how the colours have all worked out. And 1 or 2 times done a little bit of the blue on the orange, so there's a bit of a sort of crossover, but largely it just works really nicely. I'm so happy with it, and I've just kept it simple. I could have put lots more writing on things, but I thought no, I really like it how it is. So I'm going to let all that dry and then rub out the pencil and we'll have a really cool finished piece. So I've let that dry and rubbed out all the pencil, and there it is, a lovely, quite charming, tiny bit wobbly piece to celebrate back to school and all our favourite bits of stationery. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and comment, let me know how you got on with that one, and if you want to subscribe to the channel, it's free. You just hit the subscribe button and the little notification bell and you'll never miss another video. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye!